It's no secret that many times here on TikTok I've spoken out against tariffs and mass deportations in the past because of the impact they have on agriculture and ultimately on the food prices that all Americans pay. This is one time when I wish I couldn't say, "I told you so." Hi guys, my name's Will, your favorite rural campaign and elections expert, and let's talk about it. Every time I do a video about the impacts of tariffs and mass deportations on agriculture and on the price of food, I'll inevitably have a great number of farmers and ranchers who come into my comments to let me know, "Hey Will, Trump isn't going to carry these acts out. There aren't going to be more tariffs, and he's only going to deport the criminals." Well, now we know that's not true, and we're seeing the first ramifications of these actions. ICE has been planning a series of raids in agricultural areas across the United States in anticipation of Donald Trump coming into office. They actually started over a week ago and have continued through after his inauguration. For the past 2 weeks, ICE has been carrying out significant raids near Bakersfield, California and Kern County, which just happens to be one of the major bread, fruit, and vegetable baskets of United States agriculture. And as ICE typically does, they misrepresented these raids as just rounding up the criminals. Well, we now know that's not true, as multiple local officials, multiple leaders of agricultural organizations, and immigrant attorneys on the ground have stated that this has been a full-scale, indiscriminate raid of workers in the agricultural industry. ICE misrepresented the number of people who had been detained, saying it was only a couple of hundred, when in reality, officials on the ground say almost 1,000 food workers have been rounded up. They also lied and said that these were targeted raids, when in reality, unmarked vehicles and ICE law enforcement vehicles simply showed up at Home Depot, gas stations, even schools to round up food workers and their children. Now, while I'm a farmer, I'm not a vegetable or fruit farmer, and I don't have the type of operation that you would see in the Central Valley of California. However, I know the ramifications of these raids because we see it on the ground already. In just the first few days of these unannounced raids, the amount of attendance by farm workers in the fields in the Central Valley of California reduced by 25%. And by the end of the week, those food workers' attendance had dropped 75%. And you know what happens when people don't show up to pick the fruits and vegetables that are grown by American farmers? They rot in the field. We've talked about this before, and that's what's happening to the orange crop in Central Valley, California. It's rotting in the field. And other crops will follow. Other food sources will follow. And the end result is that the American people will pay significantly more for these foods, vegetables, and fruits that are not being harvested because we don't have the workers to do it because of the president's mass deportation policies. Now, I know I seem pretty upset today, and I am. And the reason for that is we warned everyone that this was going to happen. But just as is always the case with Donald J. Trump, his supporters in farming and ranching made excuses for him. They said these raids wouldn't happen. They said these raids would be targeted. They said Donald Trump wouldn't come after the agricultural industry. They said Donald Trump wouldn't come after farming. They said Donald Trump wouldn't come after ranching. They said Donald Trump wouldn't come after poultry processing and beef processing. And yet that's exactly what Donald Trump has done. And I would encourage all Americans to go read the articles about these raids and the impacts they're having in the Central Valley of California, because you're going to see a lot of Republican agricultural leaders and a lot of Republican farmers out there making the loudest complaints about these raids and the impact they're having on agriculture. It's not squawking Democrats, it's squawking conservatives and squawking Republicans making this case. Conservative farmers and ranchers, supporters of Donald Trump, just give me another minute of your time. Donald Trump made the promise over and over again that he was going to lower grocery prices in the United States of America. And the day after he was elected, he admitted in a news interview that he didn't have any control over the prices of food. He even made the statement that it's very difficult to lower prices once they've been set at a higher level. But you know what's not difficult? That's driving the price of food up. And one of the key ways you can do that is by narrowing and lowering supply, even though demand stays the same. And that's what's happening when farm workers don't show up to pick the fruits and vegetables that we farmers grow in this country. You believe Donald Trump. You said it wouldn't happen. You said it would be targeted, and that's not the case at all. You were wrong. Are you going to do what you're supposed to do when you're wrong? Are you going to admit that you were wrong? Are you going to be part of finding a resolution to the problem? I hope so, because it's only going to get worse from here. And this isn't the end of the story. In just a couple of weeks, the president is going to increase tariffs by 25% on China, Canada, and Mexico. And this is a story I've told you before. China is much better positioned this time around if tariffs are increased. They do not have disease going through their hog operations. They do not have low reserves of grains. And they've been buying a lot of product from Brazil. So this time around, when we place those tariffs and we increase them by 25%, we're really going to feel the pain. The soybean growers have estimated that 39 billion metric tons of soybeans will go unsold. And the corn growers have said up to 80% of the corn crop may not be sold. This would be devastating to American agriculture, and it would be devastating to food prices in the United States as well. And that doesn't even factor in if the Chinese place reverse tariffs on food coming from the United States that they do buy. So now it's time to say that dog won't hunt. We've been told by Republican elected officials that this day would never come, and we've been told by conservative farmers and ranchers who want to believe in Donald Trump that this day would never come. Well, we have an old saying in agriculture, don't piss down my leg and tell me it's raining. And that's exactly what they've done to us. So, MAGA farmers and ranchers, now that you know you were lied to, now that you've seen that you were lied to, and now that you're witnessing the ramifications of those lies, it's time to step up and do the right thing. And you can begin doing that by joining us here at the Back 40 to work against the policies of Donald Trump that will be so detrimental to rural America and to agriculture. A really wise farmer once told me, you don't judge a man by his mistakes. You judge him by his willingness to admit that he made a mistake and to fix the ramifications of the mistake he made. And I couldn't agree more. So what type of farmer and rancher are you? Are you a farmer and rancher who makes his mistake and sticks to the ramifications and says everything is okay? Do you piss down people's legs and tell them it's raining? Or do you step up and own up to the fact that you made a mistake, that your decision to support Donald J. Trump was bad for American agriculture, and now it's time to step up and fix it? My name's Will. That's the news from the Back 40, and I hope you have a great day.